Yeah, the Johnny Beecher train has left the building. Boston Bruins head out west after a ho-hum game against Carolina. And our ECHL Maine Mariners are on a 3-game losing streak, guys. We're going to talk about all of that right now. Let's get it going. All right, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Of course, we're getting geared up for Thanksgiving next week. I've got just a couple more days of work before heading out on a little vacation. Really more of a staycation. I have my kid for the week, so looking forward to that. But yeah, we've got some Boston Bruins news. Of course, all sorts of transactions happening around the team the last few days with all the injuries that they're dealing with. Johnny Beecher, 2019 first-round draft pick, put on waivers a couple of days ago. A lot of questions as to whether he would clear or not. Of course, we know now he does not clear. He is off to the Calgary Flames. As I said, first-round draft choice by the Bruins back in 2019. He's number 30 overall. He finishes his career here in Boston, 136 games played, 11 goals, 11 assists for 22 points, was on minus 16, 50 penalty minutes through those 136 games. Yeah, a guy that always had some speed. That was part of why he was drafted. He was maybe some would say a little underlooked, when he was playing, in the U.S. national situation. A lot of other guys were ahead of him. Other people thought it was a little bit of a reach back then in 2019. Listen, kid had, like I said, had team speed, or had good foot speed, I should say. Good on the penalty kill. But really, you didn't see a whole lot of growth and development. And I think coming into the year, everybody knew with all the players the Bruins had, not just in Providence, but some guys they brought in via free agency, that there were a lot of third, fourth line type of guys. Where was Beecher going to fit in? Ultimately, I think he only got into, 6 games this year? Let me go back and look at that. I think he only got into 6 games for Boston so far, so it was a healthy scratch for a lot of those. Had the 1 goal this year for the Bruins. Just didn't fit. And of course, Marco Sturm's comments, I think it was yesterday, that he just expected to see more, wanted to see more out of Beach, and just other guys climbed the ranks over him. So it's going to go, I would say, as another miss for Don Sweeney and the Bruins in terms of their draft history. We'll see if he can recreate himself in Calgary. Kid has some talent. Hopefully this is a wake-up call to him that he's got to start to figure it out. Not that I wanted to do this, but of course, we always kind of look back at these drafts, and it's easy in retrospect, right, to pick on GMs, like, oh, look at all these guys. But let's go back to that 2019 draft, shall we, and just look at a few names here that were drafted after Johnny Beecher went number 30. You only have to go 2 picks down to the first pick of the second round, Ottawa, taking Shane Pinto. Pinto, 229 games, 60 goals and 62 assists so far, 122 points for himself. Jackson Lacombe, young defenseman, taken at 39 by the Anaheim Ducks. He's gotten into 167 games, 17 goals, 51 assists for 68 points, and is a real rising defensive star out there. This next one's going to hurt. You go to the third round. Pick 79, Pavel Dorofeyev. 168 games, 66 goals, 34 assists. This guy is another huge rising star out there. He would have looked really good in a Boston Bruins uniform. Not sure if he was projected to be a first-round pick. Obviously, he goes in that third round, but just hard to swallow that one. Alexei Protas was 91 in that draft to the Washington Capitals. He's gotten into 264 games, 48 goals, 82 assists for 130 points. Dipping down to the fourth round, guys, just a couple more names here. At number 98, it is Matias Maccelli, of course, drafted by Arizona. 243 games, 41 goals, 97 assists for 138 points. And then Dmitri Voronkov going 114th to Columbus. He's gotten into 168 games, 49 goals, 48 assists for 97 points. Yes, it is a ridiculous practice because it is so easy in retrospect to look back and see, the mistakes. I mean, most GMs, most teams miss on these draft picks. Not many of them really make it. And Beecher, I think, still has an opportunity, but I think it's always kind of fun just to look back and, the what ifs of this. This isn't quite as egregious as the Jake DeBrusk 2015, where you had the 3 first-round picks in the middle of that round. But you go back, and there were a lot of comments of, did Boston kind of reach a little bit there at number 30 for Beecher? Were there other opportunities, other players they could have taken? End of the day, they took a chance on a guy with a lot of speed who they thought could develop into potentially, a second-line type player. Did not happen. So anyways, good luck to Johnny Beecher. I do hope, for him that he can recreate himself there, find a role there in Calgary, a Calgary team that's in all sorts of flux. I think you're going to see Calgary trading off a lot of players here coming up, and they're definitely going to be in kind of rebuild mode. And hey, maybe Beecher can be part of that for them. Of course, we've got the Boston Bruins going to be in Anaheim late tonight. But we do have a couple of games to talk about, going back to a couple nights ago with Carolina coming into town. And then, of course, over the weekend, the game against Montreal up there at the Bell Center. What an awesome game that was. Between the two games, though, you saw quite a bit of different energy, right? I mean, hard not to get up for a game in Montreal on a Saturday night. And that was just like old school Boston Montreal, just right out of the gate. Gloves are dropped. You get a couple fights there in that first period. Loved it. Loved it. And as I think I said on my last video, how great would it be to see some Boston-Montreal playoff matchups coming up? How much fun would that be for all of us? So I think that's maybe a taste or a sign of some things to come. But so impressed by the penalty kill in this game. To kill off 2 5-on-3s. One of them was, a minute 50 on a 5-on-3. And the Bruins just played with such, they're just in sync together in that little triangle they played in. And I do think that Montreal kind of maybe let them off the hook a little bit. They were not very aggressive, not taking a lot of shots. Too many passers, not enough shooters on that 5-on-3 for Montreal. But to kill one of them is like, okay, that's impressive. But to kill 2, it's just unbelievable. So that was really the difference, in the game. And a huge 2 points for Boston. At the time, of course, getting up to first place after that win. I think you're going to see a couple more really good epic matchups throughout the year with those Canadiens. And then, of course, you go to a couple of nights ago, Carolina coming into town. Of course, Boston had beaten Carolina earlier this year, a beat-up Carolina team, be that as it may. And, of course, the Bruins go into that game missing 3 of their top 6 forwards, and of course, no Charlie McAvoy. So I know going into it myself, my expectations were a little bit limited. And what you saw, obviously, was a kind of an even first period, like pretty good effort, I thought, pretty good, energy for the most part. But that energy really waned. I mean, this team, they just didn't really look. I mean, I guess it's hard, right? It's hard to come out of that Montreal game and to bring the same kind of energy, especially missing all the guys you had. Because we talk about what a great win that was in Montreal, but costly win. The Charlie McAvoy puck to the face. You also lose Arvidsson in that one. So, great 2 points. But then you come into Carolina, you're missing now, like I said, 4 top players. Okay, first period. Second period was just absolutely clinical. That is what the Carolina Hurricanes are. They play with immense speed, immense puck possession, and shot mentality. That is, if you ever wanted to take someone who doesn't know what the game of hockey is and describe the Carolina Hurricanes, take that second period from 2 nights ago and say, hey, that's what Carolina hockey is all about. That's what they're known for. You lose the game 3-1, third period. I think they battled a little bit, the Bruins, and just didn't have enough in the tank. It's a tough game to win even when you're healthy. I'm not trying to make excuses, but Carolina's a really, really good team, and a team that I have picked to win the East this season. And listen, you're going to get another crack at them. You've already beaten them once this year. Tough, and again, tough coming off of such a high in Montreal where you get the win. Of course, you lose a couple of key guys to come back, and you have a lot of Providence guys, making appearances in this one. Not a surprise result, if you're being honest. And of course, looking at the injuries right now, it's lining up. It's adding up. It's adding up. Of course, we know Lindholm still out. He is on the road trip for this week, so there is a chance he might play. I don't think he plays tonight, but maybe in a couple nights he's back out there. We know about McAvoy, just the awful puck to the face. Nothing he could do about it. That ricochet, I think it was off Kastelik. As soon as he went down, you knew it was bad. Not sure how long he's going to be out for. How will Boston respond without him? He is so important. We saw how different it was without Hampus Lindholm out there. Now you take McAvoy off the ice. Can they respond, right? Can the defensive unit respond? You didn't see really the best out of them against Carolina. That's going to be a really tough trip here going out west without McAvoy being there. Of course, we know Jordan Harris has been out. He's on IR. Casey Middlestad on IR. And Victor Arvidsson, of course, on the IR as well. So, yeah, a test here. They talk about the next man up mentality. Of course, you have a few guys like Blumel and Riley Tufte up with the club. I think Callahan just got recalled also from Providence. So a lot of guys are going to get opportunities to earn some ice time, earn some jobs. Let's see what they have, right? Blumel in particular, I think, is someone that, led the American League in scoring last year. You bring him in as kind of Pasta's buddy and a guy with some potential. He was also, I believe, drafted in that 2019 draft, if I'm not mistaken. What an opportunity for him, because you're missing all those top forwards. He's going to get power play time like he did a couple nights ago. Can he deliver? He's got a shot mentality, kind of perspective as a player. You want to see more of that out of him. I'm hoping, obviously, like any Bruins fan, cheering that he can become a potential middle line guy for this club. He's got the opportunity to do it right now. But talking about injuries, it's not just Boston that's going through this. This is kind of league wide right now. It is kind of bad right now for injuries. A lot of conversation around the league about the condensed schedule. And you look at some of the big time players that are out. A lot of these guys, trying to line up for that Olympic roster, whether it be in Canada or here for the U.S. And there's some significant guys that are out right now. Let's just read through this. Of course, we just read through the Boston piece of it, but looking at Buffalo, you got Zucker, Kesselring, Norris, Benson all out. Down to the Carolina Hurricanes. I think they're still missing Slavin, Chatfield, Kakanyemi all out. The Chicago Blackhawks, old Bruin, Nick Foligno and Tyler Bertuzzi both out. Colorado, they're missing Nichushkin, but he's just a day-to-day, I guess, for right now. Boone Jenner out for Columbus. Dallas missing Labushkin, missing Matt Duchene right now. Thomas Harley out. Duchene and Harley, big-time players for that group. The Oilers looking like, of course, Nugent Hopkins still out. Of course, we know in Florida the injuries they have to Barkov and Tkachuk. They're also missing Lusterinen and Gadjevich still out. Drew Doughty out for the Kings. You go down to the Minnesota Wild. It's Ryan Hartman. It's Tarasenko. It's Marco Rossi all out. The Montreal Canadiens missing a bunch of guys as well. Newhook, Patrick Laine, Kirby Dach, Caden Gooley. These are not insignificant players, guys. And then, of course, you got to get to New Jersey. And holy Jack Hughes. What's going on with Mr. Hughes, man? Like, I talked to Ace from Running with the Devils podcast about this, and we just know how important he is and how injury prone he's been. And to have a freak injury like that, where some dinner mishap with, I think it was a piece of glass or something, he's going to be out until January now, and such an important guy to the New Jersey Devils. Cody Glass is out for them. Brett Pesce out for them as well. The Devils are going to be a team to watch. Are they better prepared, or is their roster deeper this year than it was a year ago? Because when Hughes went out, they became kind of a middling 500 type team and got ousted in the first round of the playoffs. Are they more mature this year? Are they more prepared to go, these 6 to 8 weeks without their number one stud? We're going to wait and find out. Let's keep going here with these injuries. Of course, you go to the Senators. Shabbat, Brady Tkachuk is out. Let's look at Pittsburgh. Of course, you've got Justin Brazeau is out. Jari is out. Raquel is out. The Sharks are missing Misa. Logan Couture, of course, he's been on the IR for a long time. Jeff Skinner also out for them. The Kraken are missing Capo Caco. Jared McCann is out. St. Louis, Jake Neighbors. Tampa, of course, they're getting healthier, which is great. But Hedman's been out. Holmberg's been out. McDonough's been out. Nick Paul has been out. A lot of those guys looking to come back. And then you go up to Toronto. Of course, Austin Matthews going to be out for a little bit here. Nick Roy is out. Tanev is out. Brandon Carlo is out. Anthony Stolars is out. Scott Laughton is out. You go up to Vancouver. Of course, Garland day-to-day. Heedle's out. Demko's out. Teddy Bluger, Derek Forbert, all out there as well. Pierre-Luc Dubois being missed in Washington Capitals as well. So, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you if that's a larger list than most of the years, but it just feels like it is right now. It seems like every day there's just another key player missing from a team. It's just brutal, absolutely brutal. And you do wonder how much of this is that condensed schedule, getting ready for the Olympics. Now, listen, the players wanted this. They voted for this. They wanted best on best. They want to be back in the Olympics. So, what does that mean? What does that mean for scheduling, down the road with in these Olympic years? Yeah, I don't know. Can you avoid this stuff? Or is it just, this is the game. This is hockey. There's going to be injuries. You're just going to have to deal with it if you're the players, if you're the teams, right? So anyways, of course, your Bruins are out in Anaheim tonight. That's a 10 p.m. start against those Anaheim Ducks. They also then go out to play the Los Angeles Kings Friday night. That's a 10:30 start. And then they go up to San Jose, 8 p.m. start, a little bit earlier on Sunday the 23rd. Stop over on the island to play the New York Islanders. That's Wednesday at 7 o'clock before returning home next Friday the 28th to play the New York Rangers at 1 p.m. So an important West Coast swing, not an easy West Coast swing. Anaheim's playing much better. The Kings have been pretty hot of late. And San Jose is not a doormat anymore. So you got 6 potential points out there. Can you get 3 of them? Can you get 4 of them? Again, how do you play without Charlie McAvoy? How does that depth get tested? How does your top 6 keep it going and score some goals? They struggled, of course, against Carolina. We'll see how all of that goes. All right, turning to your Maine Mariners now. Our home team here, the ECHL Maine Mariners, suddenly on a little bit of a losing streak, losing 3 games in a row, going back to last weekend down in Wheeling, West Virginia. They were not very friendly hosts to our Maine Mariners, guys. Maine losing back on the 14th, 5-1 to the Wheeling Nailers. Let's just go through this, guys. Shots on goal for the Maine Mariners, 27. That's 6, 10, and 11. Wheeling with 28, 7, 9, and 12. Maine was 0 for 3 on the power play. Wheeling 0 for 2. Of course, just the 1 goal there for the Maine Mariners. That was Maroney, assisted by Hudson and Kalmakoff. That was in that third period, kind of late in the third period to keep it from a shutout. Kavalin in net for this one, 23 saves on 28 shots. The next night here, Mariners losing 4-1 in this one, guys. Shots on goal, 26-23 for Wheeling, 7, 8, and 8 for Maine, 9, 8, and 9 for Wheeling. Power play here, Maine 0 for 2, Wheeling 0 for 3. Again, Maine with their only goal, Cronin in the third period, assisted by Element and Perreault. That was Arvanitis in net for this one, guys. 22 saves on 25 shots. And then yesterday, the school day game in Worcester. The Worcester Railers taking out some aggression on the Maine Mariners after getting swept there just a couple weekends ago, beating the Mariners 4-0. Shots on goal, Maine 30, Worcester 27. That's 10, 8, and 12 for Maine. 3, 16, and 8 for Worcester. Maine was 0 for 1 on the power play. Worcester 1 for 3. Of course, no goals for your Mariners. It was the Callan brothers and Hatton with all the goals there for Worcester. Kavalin taking a loss in this one, 23 saves on 26 shots. So, where does that leave our Maine Mariners right now? 7, 4, and 2, 16 points, third in the North Division. Looking at those standings, it is Wheeling in first place at 10-2 with 20 points. Reading Royals 8, 3, and 2 for 18 points. Your Mariners sitting there third. Adirondack right behind them, 5, 3, and 2 with 12 points. Greensboro with 11 points. Trois-Rivières 10 points. Norfolk in seventh place with 10 points. And those Worcester Railers now 4, 7, and 1, 9 points for them. Suddenly, they've won 3 in a row. They beat Trois a couple times last weekend. I guess the silver lining through these 3 games for Maine, your PK is still playing very, very good. Only gave up 1 power play goal, 7 for 8 through those 3 games. Power play 0 for 6, however, in that one. So still some work to be done on the power play. They're definitely getting tested. They've had to, like any other team, bring in a lot of new players with injuries and things like that. Sean Element is back, however, gotten into the last couple of games here. So good to see him back on the ice. He's a really important player for the group. And I think right now we're just waiting to see, because of all the movement with Boston. We know that Callahan just went from Providence to Boston, along with Blumel and Tufte. So maybe we should anticipate some movement here for Maine, maybe a couple guys going up to Providence to fill in some gaps. We will wait and see what happens there. Next up for the Mariners, they are back at the Worcester Railers on Friday night, 7:05 puck drop. They have Saturday off, and then back here at the Cross Insurance Arena in Portland for a Sunday matinee game against the Norfolk Admirals. That is at 3 p.m. So should be a lot of fun. Hopefully they can get back to their winning ways on Friday night. All right, guys. Well, coming up next on the show, of course, I'm going to continue to do my weekly reviews here. But coming up it's going to be December 8th. I am happy to announce that from Nesson, Adam Pellerin is going to be joining the show. We're going to be talking all things Boston Bruins, check in on how the team is playing, but really excited to talk to Adam. Going to be a good one. Can't wait for that. And just more big picture, guys, as I said in my last video, I'm still trying to work through making some changes here on this channel, trying to make it I want to change the energy a little bit, maybe change the focus a little bit. I'm not really sure, but I just want to try to juice it up a little bit and, create more content that you guys want to hear. So, look for some changes coming up here. I'm also looking around, maybe potentially looking to develop a new podcast. Not a hockey podcast, could be something very, very different, but got some things under development right now that I'm working on. And I'll certainly let you guys know about those as they come about. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. I absolutely appreciate all the support that you guys give me. If you're new to the channel, I want to say thank you for checking this out. If you're already subscribing to the channel, thank you for all that support over the years. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, be kind, show love, and God bless.